In 2020 and 2021, I shot a documentary about haunted attractions. In fact, it's available to buy or rent now on Prime Video. The documentary, In Our Veins, The Haunting Story of Red Vein, the link's down there in the description below, features a growing haunt and their struggle to open amid the pandemic. As part of this project, I got to interview some high-profile artists and professionals working in the field. Unfortunately, I cut a lot of these interviews as I made some creative decisions. But now that the film is out there in the wild, I wanted to show some of these longer form discussions so that anyone that's interested in the spooky industry of scaring could maybe learn a little from these leaders in haunted entertainment.
I think the thing that I worked on that changed me the most as a writer and as a director and as someone looking towards a larger scope of work in my own art form would be the entire entertainment slate in Diagon Alley for Harry Potter. Putting together all of those pieces and parts, casting the entire squadron of actors that would eventually take it on, and then working with all of the different show directors and choreographers and directors and writers and everybody who was involved with that to bring forth all of the entertainment within that land, I think is something that is a once-in-a-generation opportunity. Being able to play within the realm of those stories and being able to name characters within the canon and have the very first live representation of any of the characters from the canon shown in the park in Celestina, those are things that you can't unsee or undo, if that makes sense. They impacted me so greatly. So yeah, definitely Diagon Alley.
Patrick Braillard is a legend in the field. Most recently, he's back at Universal Creative working on the upcoming Epic Universe. He was previously one of the architects of Halloween Horror Nights and was hugely influential in the creation of Diagon Alley. I got to speak to him during a break with Universal as he was developing an independent haunted attraction.
Getting to play within the intellectual property realm is fun because you get to do almost wish fulfillment from you as a Halloween fan or a horror fan. You get to dive in and you get to explore where Michael Myers is going to be or where Freddy's going to be or where these characters are going to be at. But from an original storytelling aspect, the original houses give you that opportunity to get your own pieces out there. And I think that, no doubt, the intellectual property houses are what drive the ticket sales. They're what drive the front gate. You want people to come in, you splash a big intellectual property in front of them, and that's going to draw everybody in. But the reason that people come back year after year after year is the storytelling that the team is capable of producing. If it wasn't for the technical aspects that have grown exponentially in their sophistication over the years, or if it's not for the processes and the policies that have been set forth from the production team, if it wasn't for the fact that casting works as hard as they do, if it wasn't for the costume and makeup team that literally make thousands of pieces over the course of a 6-month period after they get the final treatment, none of that would be possible. There are so many different pieces and parts that go into that kind of a large endeavor that when you go from having an army behind you to say, okay, we've got literally the entirety of all of the team members at Universal helping to put this on during the month of September, October, to going down to, okay, it's just a handful of us and we've got 6 weeks to go. That is a different muscle that you're having to flex. When you come from, a larger organization and you are doing things that to others are seemingly impossible tasks because you've got the people and the resources, and then you do have to come down to a place where passion may outlast budgetary. I think that the important thing to understand is that no matter if you've got $1 million or you've got $10, if the story is right, people will come. I think that word of mouth is still word of mouth. And any haunt, whether it be Horror Nights, Howl-O-Scream, or any of the other large-scale pieces, all of those at one time were essentially an independent haunt. Fronted by a company, sure, but they were given a very small budget and said, go make this. and those people worked their asses off. And then every single year, that culture just started to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and people started to recognize it for what it was. So I don't think there's any reason why something that is on a smaller scale like this couldn't eventually get to that size. It does just matter whether or not you have a good story to tell, whether you've got the passion to drive for it, and whether or not you've got people that are going to believe in that enough to forward that on year after year. Eventually, I think any haunt has the opportunity to grow past where it is currently. It was the potential to impact change in that environment. It was the fact that you are essentially working with a blank slate and being able to enact the change in a massive level so that so many people got impacted. It wasn't just a singular person. But I think the same is true for an independent haunt, because you can get a kid who's never been to a haunt, comes in at 12 years or 13 years of age, and you get the opportunity to set the tempo and the feeling of what he understands haunts to be the very first time he steps through one. He might not go to Horror Nights, he might not go to Howl-O-Scream, he might not go to any of the other major haunts that you've got around the country. This might be his only chance to come in. And he's been badgered by it by his older brother, and he comes in and you wow him. And you set that kind of, you have the opportunity to be that good first impression. And you don't need $1 million to do it. But you do need to be cognizant of your story. You need to make sure that your characters are on point, and you need to make sure that your characters are doing their jobs. If you do those things, then you have then allowed him to experience the thing that you wanted him to experience. I think it is different when you're not using your own money. I think when you're very attentive to the budget creatively and wanting to be a creative problem solver to suit the best scope per what the financials are telling you can do.
Yeah, when you literally owe more to Lowe's than your mortgage.
Absolutely, and that's. I mean, there are people out there that are literally killing themselves to try to bring this stuff to light, and they should be applauded for it, and they should be heralded for it. And so I think that that's just natural, that they would have that kind of visceral reaction to anybody else doing a haunt, that mine might be better than yours, or yours is better than that person's, or whatever it might be, because they're caring so much about their art form. And I don't think it delegitimizes the theme parks and what they're capable of producing. Because at the end of the day, everybody's trying to tell the best story that they possibly can. I would like to think that if there's any legacy that I have to what I've been previously doing for the last 15 years, it was that I was able to grow that event in unforeseen ways, and that I created memories, and I created long-lasting, visceral experiences for people. And I don't need them to know my name. I don't need them to say thank you. I need them to continue to have those. And if I'm able to create those long-lasting memories for people, and I'm allowed, and that includes everything from, hey, you remember that Horror Nights that we went to and Uncle Larry fell off the thing and he broke his tailbone and we had to go to the hospital and we missed out, we didn't even see any houses, we just saw that one scare zone because Uncle Larry's a dumbass? But that was a Horror Nights that they'll remember, and a memory that they'll remember because a character that I helped create in a storyline that was in a scare zone helped scare Uncle Larry off the thing and broke his tailbone. I'm all for that. I don't need them to know it was me. But the fact that people have photographs and videos and t-shirts and mugs and things that they look at, memorabilia that they have in their homes about the characters and or themes and or houses and or scare zones and or shows that I was a part of creating is something that is humbling to me. And as long as I was able to create those memories for them, that's enough.
A haunted house is a horror movie that we walk from scene to scene. I mean, how do you start a movie when somebody's thinking about doing a movie? You start with a storyline, and all of my designs are that way.
Leonard Pickel has been building haunted houses for over 40 years. His consulting firm has created attractions for Universal Studios and Six Flags. In 2004, he launched HauntCon, the first national convention solely for the haunt industry. I think it's kind of safe to say he's an expert in constructing haunts.
A storyline keeps you on track. Really, a storyline is more for the designer than it is for the people going through, so that they can to help them suspend disbelief. You know, the people go through a haunted house in the dark. They don't really see as much. They actually see more than they realize they do. Their subconscious, feels the room out and decides whether it's reality or not. And the more detail in it, the easier that suspension of disbelief is. Just having black walls and a refrigerator doesn't make a kitchen. It's got to be gory, and there's got to be, pots and pans in the sink, and there's got to be a lot more level to that to really get people into the immersion of the experience. A house without a history cannot be haunted. So when you come up with your storyline, you have to figure out, why is this building haunted? What evil lurks within? What minions has it created? And then you develop the storyline from that. And that in that way, I've never designed 2 haunted houses that were identical. As soon as you get people into a situation where I'm not sure I'm supposed to be here, they drop all of their garbs. Their you're not going to scare me goes away, because they're not sure they're even in the right place, and it makes them more vulnerable to be frightened. I've designed my haunted house for a 21-year-old male because he's going through with a date or with his buddies, and he just cannot afford to be seen screaming like a girl. So I target my haunted house at him. If I can make him jump a few times, if I can make him squeal a little bit, then I've done my job. And if I'm targeting that age group, then anybody else is a piece of cake. The 14-year-old girl's going to scream at anything. She's beside herself, and everybody else has gotten a good show. A lot of haunted houses, do very, very good jobs at detail and creative, creation of the room and scenic. And then they stand an actor in the middle of that room with a really great costume and really great makeup, and they say, okay, when people come in, scare them. Well, a great actor can do that, but an average actor can't. And the majority of your actors are at least average, if not worse than that. So you have to, in my opinion, you have to design the scare into the room. It has to be built into the room to give the actor something to do. Otherwise, the room design is doomed to fail. I've always looked for the job that they had to throw me out at 5 o'clock, and I was waiting for them to unlock the door at 8. And really, this is the only thing that I've ever found that has that I have that passion for. I just love doing it. It's a creative outlay for me, so it's something that is, it's been a lifelong pursuit. I've been doing this longer than I've been doing anything else, and I have no intention of slowing down or stopping.
This is what we're gonna do. Is we're gonna go all the way down the rabbit hole right now. That's my wall. We did not open a portal into another dimension with that, so we're good. You know what? A couple real actual demons, I don't have to, train them as actors. They know what they're doing.
Ben Penname was the manager at Mortem Manor, a year-round haunt in Old Town Kissimmee, Florida. They were named one of America's scariest haunted houses by the Travel Channel.
Where a lot of haunted attractions have had to completely rethink their scheme of, oh my gosh, how are we going to socially distance these people? From the very day that we opened, we've always, as part of our game plan, individually pulsed groups. There really wasn't that much growing pain when it got to the point where we're like, it's just your group. We're not mixing you with strangers. You're going to stay 6 feet apart in line. You're going to keep your masks on. We're sanitizing all the surfaces that you might touch. But other than that, we had to remove a couple doors. We had to remove curtains, fear flaps. A lot of industry people call it SIF, which is the stuff that hangs down and gets in your face. We've had to take that stuff and tack it up against the walls. Very spooky mini fridge behind the set. Social media is amazing because it's really fun, especially in the haunt industry specifically. Social media is this fun thing where we sort of went full circle where way back in the day, haunted houses had to promote. It was usually word of mouth. It was local newspapers, if you got some money, you could throw out some radio ads, you could throw out a local television station ad. But it was very much just word of mouth of, oh, did you hear about such and such that just opened up on the other side of town? With social media, with the influx of people using Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and YouTube, we've actually kind of gone right back to that point where it's, we could drop some money and go on the radio and go, hey, look, Mortem Manor, we're really scary. Take our word for it. But at the same time, you can go online and you can see just this influx of people going, yeah, oh no, we already did it, it's great. But man, we are as close as I think we could physically get to the point where I personally love the maybe 2 or 3 one-star reviews we'll occasionally get will literally be a single sentence that went, it was too scary, 1 star. And I'm like, awesome. Thank you for the positive review. I cannot wait for people to see that because that is amazing and that is exactly what I'm going for. And that's the great thing, not just with reviews, but with people sharing selfies outside. The new one, you know, you take your selfie with the ticket as you're standing at the entrance door, and then below it, it's like, hey, I took this before I went in. 15 minutes later, we were screaming and running out the exit. It's like, great. You know, I could sit there and I could pay some PR guy to write us some fun, Mad Men-esque advertisement saying how great we are. But with social media, we've kind of gone right back to the heart of the driving force on whether or not a haunted attraction is really worth checking out is to ask the people who have checked it out. I could be investing my livelihood into some far sketchier things, says the guy surrounded by weapons and blood. But at the end of the day, there's nothing else in this world that I'd rather be doing.
It was an awesome experience sitting down with these legends. Make sure you check out their work as they're all amazing at what they do. And go watch my doc, In Our Veins, over on Prime Video. Did I mention that there's a link in the description? Well, there is.